Super Hits AM 1210 and 98.7 FM WILY in conjunction with AreaSports.net proudly presents The Sports Couch. The Sports Couch is one of the longest-running local sports talk shows in the area, featuring 90 minutes of great local sports talk with coaches, athletes, and other media personnel. Who will be on the couch this morning? Let's find out. The Sports Couch is on the air right now. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of The Sports Couch here on Super Hits AM 1210 and 98.7 FM WILY, and, of course, also streaming on AreaSports.net. I'm Randy Olson in studio. Flying solo today as Danny is out on assignment, but he'll rejoin us again next Saturday morning. Got a great show lined up for you today. Might be a little bit shorter today, but we have 4 outstanding guests that are going to be with you today. I really am excited about the guests that we have lined up, and I think you will be too. First of all, we're going to find out a lot about the St. Louis Cardinals as spring training has started. Pitchers and catchers have reported down in Jupiter, Florida, and we're going to visit with Tom Ackerman, the sports director of KMOX, the flagship station in St. Louis for the Cardinals radio network. And we'll talk to Tom about the inside scoop on what's going on with Cardinal baseball, and are they going to make any more moves? Who's going to be playing in the outfield, and all those sorts of things. So join us for that conversation with Tom Ackerman coming up here during the show today. Also, many of you know that Isaac Bruce is going to be coming to Mount Vernon here real soon. The NFL Hall of Famer for the St. Louis Rams and Super Bowl champion will be coming to speak out at the Doubletree Hotel during the FCA banquet. That's the Fellowship of Christian Athletes banquet, and that's coming up real soon here on March 17th. We'll talk to Bob Pankey from the FCA about that, how you can get tickets to attend, and what you can expect that night. It's going to be a very special event. And again, it is open to the public as Isaac Bruce is coming to Mount Vernon. So join us as we talk with Bob Pankey here later on in the show. Also, we are going to talk to Bucky Dent. He is a sports writer for the Southern Illinoisan. One of the things we're going to talk to Bucky about is the emergence of the SIU Salukis basketball team. Holy cow, 7 wins in a row and sitting in second place now in the Missouri Valley Conference and looking good. And that dramatic win last Saturday at the last second was really something special. It kind of reminded me of the Christian Laettner pass, from way back whenever Duke beat Kentucky. Yeah, it's kind of a touchy subject for some people, isn't it? But the Salukis playing really good right now. We'll talk to Bucky about that and some other things too, I'm sure, particularly some of the high school basketball teams in the area. We'll talk to Bucky about that because he's covered a lot of games involving teams such as Nashville and Pinckneyville and Fairfield and that sort of thing. All right, and then we're going to visit with Kent Williams, the Hall of Famer from Mount Vernon and SIU. Kent, as many of you know, is in his 3rd year coaching DeSmet High School over in St. Louis, and they're one of the most successful teams there in the St. Louis metro area. I believe they're 17-5 right now, and atop the league standings over there as well. And a chance to make some damage, do some things special in postseason there on the Missouri side of the river. So we'll catch up with Kent Williams and find out how the season's going so far and see if he's got some talent that might be going on to the next level. I have a feeling he does. I mean, he's coaching a guy that's 6'10" and a guy that's 6'9", so that's pretty cool. So a great show lined up for you this morning, so stay tuned here on the Sports Couch. If you want to check out the scores, of course, from area basketball games around the region, certainly do that here on AreaSports.net or check out Section618.com, as you can also check out video highlights on that website as well, as Darren Kennard does a great job of putting highlights of many games together. Of course, the seed meetings have been held, and the pairings are out for the boys, and you can check those out on the websites. And, of course, the girls are really thick into it right now. They've played their regionals, and they're moving on to sectional play now. So postseason is happening here in Southern Illinois when it comes to high school basketball. Stay tuned. We'll be back with our first guest coming up next on the Sports Couch. Are you going out of town for a vacation or a weekend getaway? What are you going to do with your dog? That's easy. There's Jaggers Doggy Daycare in Mount Vernon. Jaggers Doggy Daycare is your one-stop shop for overnight dog boarding, doggy daycare, as well as dog grooming and obedience dog training. It's your dog's home away from home. They will thrive, and they'll get one-on-one attention by a great staff. More information is available on the web at jaggersdoggydaycare.com. Jaggers Doggy Daycare, 414 Main Street in Mount Vernon.
Munkin Nissan's end of the year special will have you adding to your Christmas list. Find your perfect mix of sporty fun with enough room for the family in the trendy Nissan Rogue. Drive off in confidence in a 2019 Rogue with $4,000 in NMAC cash plus 0% for 60 months. Get your 2019 Nissan Rogue savings at Munkin Nissan on Highway 161 in Centralia and MunkinNissan.com. Don't forget your chance to win $500 at the Munkin Half-Court Shot at the Orphans home basketball games.
Fast Eddie Veltman, the legendary Centralia criminal defense attorney, has joined Olson and Reeves, attorneys at law. With offices in Centralia and Mount Vernon, Olson and Reeves are personal injury and criminal defense lawyers, and we've got your back. If you've been hurt in an accident or you've been arrested for a DUI or other charge, call Olson and Reeves today at area code 618-533-1601 for a free case evaluation. Olson and Reeves, attorneys at law. Welcome back to the Sports Couch here live on Super Hits AM 1210 and 98.7 FM WILY, and of course video streaming on AreaSports.net. I'm Randy Olson in studio, and of course if you are a Cardinal baseball fan, you got to be real excited about the start of spring training as pitchers and catchers have reported to Jupiter, Florida this week. And of course here at Withers Broadcasting we have not one, not two, but 7 different radio stations as part of the Cardinal Radio Network, including US 97.7 FM, which has been added this year in the Marion-Carbondale market, so we're pretty excited about that. But let's talk to somebody that's at the mothership right now. Yeah, the flagship station of the Cardinal Radio Network. That, of course, is KMOX, and let's check in with KMOX Sports Director Tom Ackerman. Good morning, Tom. How are you doing?
Randy, good morning. Good to talk to you.
Well, it's good to talk to you, too. Thanks for joining us here today on the Sports Couch. And yes, indeed, pitchers and catchers are reporting down there at spring training, and we're just about ready for Cardinal baseball around the corner.
It is here, the 129th season in the National League, and a great tradition for sure. And I think, a massive fan base that can't wait to see what's around the next corner. And, this is a team that's coming off a pretty successful season. Hopefully they can be even more successful and get that 12th World Championship. They have some work to do. Well,
I hope so, too. And we're going to talk more about baseball in just a minute. But before we talk about the Cardinals, I've got to ask you about Bobby Knight, because you're such an Indiana Hoosier fan. I know you went to IU in college, and you had to be overjoyed to see the return of Bobby Knight this past weekend after a 20-year hiatus, huh?
Well, I was for sure. I mean, he's a big part of my life. I don't go to Indiana University without him. Personal story, to keep it short, is that I met him when I was a teenager, caddied for him in a golf tournament, and connected with him, and he ended up setting up a tour of campus for me based just on our experience and having a mutual friend. And I fell in love with IU and went to school there, and after my dad passed away right before I went to college, I connected with Coach Knight freshman year, and he learned of my dad's passing and was very comforting to me and very kind to me. And I know that his reputation of being tough and a flawed human being, I guess you could say, carried with him. I think he was deeply hurt that Indiana University didn't stick by him when he was dismissed. I think that did sting him, and you can feel either way about him. But I can tell you that when he did return on Saturday for the first time in 20 years, it was something I always hoped to see, and I was very struck emotionally. I had tears running down my cheeks just seeing him back on the floor, and the crowd's response, and seeing him hug Isaiah Thomas and all of his former players. It was just very special. There's a great relationship between that university and Coach Knight that just goes way back, and it's I just even talking about it right now gets me emotional, because it was a very special thing to see. I always hoped it would happen. I had always been told that it wouldn't happen, and the fact that it finally did, and that his players ultimately were the ones who got it done, made me very, very happy.
Well, you could just see the emotion on his face, too. I mean, it was gut-wrenching. I mean, it was unreal, the emotion on his face. And then they cut to a shot of Gene Cady, the longtime Purdue coach, and he was over thrown with emotion as well.
Right, and those two battled it out for a long time, and to have Coach Katie in the house, and then those two spent the evening together being honored at the Pacers game. And, what a rivalry.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Indiana lost to Purdue. That's another story that us IU fans have got to kind of figure out here as to how to get this team back to where it used to be. But what an incredible time. And hopefully that it was a healing moment for a lot of people, and that now, the university and Coach Knight and everybody involved can take a step forward. And he lives in Bloomington. Bob Knight's going to live in Bloomington, and my understanding is he's going to stay there.
Yeah.
At the age of 79, I know that it's been some road. It's hard to believe, actually, that it's been 20 years since
it really is.
Set foot on the Assembly Hall floor.
It's just amazing. It really is. Well, I appreciate you sharing those comments there, Tom. Let's talk about St. Louis Cardinals. There's a lot of questions going into spring training, of course, because, the Cardinals did not re-sign Marcell Ozuna. They let him walk, and he was signed by the Braves. And, of course, they let go Jose Martinez. So, you've got 29 home runs and 89 RBIs that Ozuna had that you got to find some way to replace. And then even Martinez, with his 10 home runs and 42 RBIs, the Cardinals have got to find a way to replace those guys in the offense. And I assume that they're looking at trying to do that from within with the young guys like Tyler O'Neill and Lane Thomas, maybe Dylan Carlson. Is that how you see it? Is that the way they're looking at it going into spring training?
Well, it's the only way, because they haven't made any moves externally to boost this offense, at least not yet.
Mm-hmm.
So what they're trying to do is to see if anybody can jump up and grab the opportunity. So exactly as you said, the right fielder as it stands right now would be Dexter Fowler, and the center fielder right now would be Harrison Bader. But I think Lane Thomas could take any of those spots if Tyler O'Neill also hits.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are the two big ones right there. It's between Lane Thomas and Tyler O'Neill. Now, Dylan Carlson, the only chance he really has to grab one of the starting spots is if the others don't do it, and he's just so good that they can't help but start him. He's so young.
Yeah.
He's only 21 years old. I think there's a lot still ahead of him, and I think what they'd like to do is to have him play every day at Memphis, and then eventually he comes up at some point and makes his major league debut. But he's a real talent. I mean, Randy, he's a switch hitter. He can play left, center, or right. He has, he's the son of a coach. He has a great baseball pedigree and mind. He's very wise for his age. He really is the total package. He's a top 10 prospect in all of baseball for a reason. Now, if none of that were to work out, then I think the Cardinals could start exploring some external options, and I think number one on everybody's list would be Nolan Arenado. The question would be, what's his situation with Colorado at that point? What do the Cardinals have offensively at that point? Have they exhausted their options? And does a deal make sense from Colorado's side? Would what they're asking for be something that the Cardinals could match? I mean, the Cardinals have a lot of prospects and certainly could make a deal if they wanted to. They don't want to give away all of their prospects.
Yeah, and I can understand
there's a lot
that.
of things at play there.
There sure is. And then, of course, with the Cardinals having that payroll at $170 million right now, it sounds like from Mr. DeWitt's words that they're not in a hurry to add to that payroll just yet.
I think you'd have to give up some salary to take on a salary like a Nolan Arenado or any franchise player for that matter. And then the other situation would be the opt-out in his deal, which is up in 2 years. He's able to become a free agent if he wants to. He can opt out of his contract. I would think that the Cardinals would want to have him for a long time. There's a big difference between grabbing a guy for 2 years and for 7 years. The Cardinals are being very quiet about this. They haven't spoken publicly at all about Arenado. The only thing that they've said is in some of my interviews and some others with John Mozeliak is that, they don't really speak publicly about big deals for multiple reasons. One of the biggest is that they don't want any of their players to ever think that they're being dealt or that the future's in doubt or anything like that. And the Cardinals historically keep things close to the vest. I do believe, though, that if Arenado was made available via trade or if he demanded a trade for some reason, that the Cardinals would like to be at that table. to discuss. I don't know why he wouldn't, but I do think that the Cardinals are one of the few teams that can make a deal of that magnitude because they do have the resources, they do have the prospects, they do have a desirable place to play that I would think a player would waive his no-trade clause for, and they do have third base open. Well, sort of. I mean, Matt Carpenter and Tommy Edman can play it, but they have a established veteran at all infield positions. That one, you would think that one would be available to a world-class player of his caliber.
Yeah. You had a chance to take some of the Cardinals out on the Cardinal Caravan this year. You were one of those making a trip down south. Tell us about your experience with that and the response from the fans and that sort of thing.
We went to Memphis, Jonesboro, and Dyersburg with Jack Flaherty. When you travel with a player like that, you're going to set records. We had the biggest crowd we've ever had at the mall at Turtle Creek in Jonesboro. We had big crowds in Memphis. We had a massive crowd at Dyer County High School. It was very special. Jack is an elite talent. He's a great human being. He's still so young. He's only 24 years old. He's the ace of the staff. He just gets it. Talk about a guy who's wise for his age. He has a competitive spirit and, very understanding of his place in Cardinals history. He's off to an amazing start. He had one of the best second halves of any pitcher in baseball history. So the Cardinals are in good hands there. And that was a very good time just being around him. We had some other people, too. Tyler Webb, who was one of the best lefty-on-lefties in the game, was involved. And then we had Justin Williams, who is a very talented prospect that we didn't get to see a lot of because of his broken hand last year. But he has good power. I think he's an outfielder to keep an eye on. We talk about this outfield race and all these prospects out there. Justin Williams may have something to say about that because he does have, like I said, some pretty good power late in the year for Memphis. He had a very good run at the end of August, and I'd be very curious what kind of spring training he has.
And I guess there's one other outfielder that we could throw in the mix as a possibility that might see some time at spring training would be Austin Dean. What do you know about him?
I think that's a nice deal. Maybe along the lines of a Jose Martinez type player. He could provide some thunder for you off the bench. I'd be curious to see what he looks like as well. So, yeah, I think there's a chance. The Cardinals did trade away a lot of talent, really. I mean, in the outfield, Ozuna, Martinez, Adolis Garcia, Randy Arozarena. These are players that can provide some offense for you. So it shows you what kind of depth they have, that they were able to make all those deals. But it also shows you what kind of urgency there is right now to have somebody step up and make something happen. Maybe he's a player that can. I think, if I were to guess, I would say that the Cardinals have very high hopes for Lane. Lane Thomas had that injury last year that really sidetracked him, and we'll see if he can get it going again. But they are very intrigued with Tyler O'Neill's power potential, and I think that has is tantalizing if he can lay off bad pitches. They think, Mozeliak said it himself, that if O'Neill was a starter and got, let's say, 600 plate appearances in a season, he thinks there's a good chance O'Neill hits 40 home runs, and he might strike out 160, 170, 180 plus times. But the guy can hit, and they like that. They want to see what he can do.
Well, let's talk about the Cardinal pitching staff. Alex Reyes may be making a comeback this year. Hopefully he's healthy, and we'll see what kind of a role he plays. Brett Cecil, see if he pitches a little bit better this year. And then the question is Carlos Martinez going to be in the relief role again, or is he going to try to be a starter? And then you got the new Korean left-hander Kim. So there's a lot of questions there about the pitching staff as well.
Yeah, kind of to sort the whole thing. I think Martinez is a starter like he says he wants to be, and he does feel healthy. And I think it's all about how he feels mentally. And if he's ready to go and is determined to be a great starter again, and let's not forget he was an all-star not too long ago as a starter. If he is that, a top-of-the-rotation guy, or even if he's a fourth or fifth starter, that's good, and the Cardinals can now figure out what their bullpen looks like. If he's not, I think he can slide right back in there as the closer and hold down that spot until Jordan Hicks is ready to go. And Hicks should be ready by sometime around midsummer. But Carlos is the key to that, and still young. You know, Carlos Martinez is still a young guy. I mean, he broke into the game at a very young age and was the 8th inning guy on the World Series runner-up team in 2013. So Martinez has some experience, but still rather young. And I'd like to see what a matured Carlos Martinez looks like here in 2020. The rest of the rotation looks pretty solid. I mean, Flaherty and Hudson, who walked a lot of people last year, needs to cut down on those, but he should be okay. Michaelis is a good, solid veteran. He should have a bounce back here. Adam Wainwright, great to have him back in his leadership. You know he's going to give you all he has. Which leaves you with Kwang Young Kim. Houston is a lefty, is going to challenge Martinez and I think maybe even Hudson for a spot in that rotation. It's pretty interesting to have a lefty with his run of experience in the KBO. How that translates to Major League Baseball, we'll find out. And there's some other candidates, too, in the rotation. But that leaves the bullpen, which the question would be who closes until Hicks is ready. If not Martinez, who? I think they have some options there. If it were me, I'd go with Giovanni Gallegos. I just love what he brings to the table. But you have some others there. Andrew Miller can do it. John Brebbia could do it. Ryan Helsley, who could be a competitor for the rotation or closer, could do it also. The Cardinals do have some depth there. I think, if anything, the Cardinals have a very good handle on run prevention. Their defense is excellent. Their rotation looks pretty solid. Their bullpen was pretty darn good last year, and I think could be a step even better. That's good. They've just got to figure out a way to score some runs more consistently.
Yeah, that's true. I assume you got Chris Raby down there at Jupiter right now doing reports on KMOX. Are you headed that way here soon at spring training?
Down there. Mike Claiborne is down there. We will have our digital guru, Sam Masterson, who does a lot of the stuff behind the scenes down there. Ben Boyd, our executive sports producer, is heading down there on Wednesday. And so those guys will be able to hold it down along with Mike Shannon, John Rooney, Rick Horton. We have a whole bunch of people down there. But I go down the last 2 weeks. I'll work Arch Madness here in St. Louis, and then I'll head down on March 8th and stay until the 23rd, or the 22nd is the day they leave, and then I'll head back right after that. So, yeah, I'll be down there the last 2 weeks calling some games on Cardinals.com and reporting back for KMOX, so I'll always look forward to that. I love Jupiter. It's a chance to get together with some of the players and see them, and if you've never been, you should go. I know that you went down with us, Randy, and you know, there's just nothing like it.
It's great.
It's baseball at its purest. You get up close to the game, and you get to see these guys in their element. And I really believe that the Cardinals do it right. They teach the fundamentals, and it's a lot of fun to see these guys get after it.
Yeah,
it should
you're
be
right.
A good year.
There's really nothing quite like it. You mentioned Arch Madness. You're going to be involved in the coverage of that. And, boy, Arch Madness could be a lot of fun this year, particularly with the SIU Salukis playing as well as they are after that last-second thriller on Saturday. They've now won 7 in a row, and they were picked near the bottom of the valley this year.
Yeah, what the heck's gotten into them? Brian Mullins, man.
Yeah, he's doing well.
He's got a toughness about him, and that team is going to be tough to handle. That's so impressive. What a great story.
Yeah.
Picked last by a lot of people, and then they come out and now they're second in the league, at least recently. So I'm pretty excited to see what that looks like. I think it's pretty wide open. I mean, the best team to me is Northern Iowa, but beyond that, you just never know what you're going to get. I think a dark horse team, I'd like to keep an eye on them to see if they can make it through healthy, is Indiana State. And then, Loyola, it's hard to argue with their success recently that, they're going to turn it on come tournament time. And Bradley was the team that escaped Arch Madness last year and made it to the tournament. So I think it's open for somebody to take, and that's what makes Arch Madness really special. One of these teams is going to be dancing, and sometimes you just don't know who that might be. Maybe it's Southern Illinois. What a story it would be.
Sure really would be. Yeah.
The Salukis. And I'll tell you, the Salukis crowd is very important to the Valley and to Arch Madness, and it's been a while now. I do have some ties to there. My mom went to SIU. My aunt went to SIU. My grandma, my mom is from Salem, Illinois, so I used to hang out in Salem a whole bunch. I know a lot of Saluki fans. I've been to Carbondale a whole bunch. I think there's always been something special there. When I started covering the Valley in the early 2000s, that was when that program really got cranked up, and I'd love to see it back. I really would. It'd be good for the league, good for the region.
Well, I've noticed in a lot of your duties at KMOX, you've also had a chance to go do some college basketball games on television, and that's had to be a thrill for you.
It has been for sure, and I have a whole bunch coming up next week. I'll be at Bradley, I'll be at SIU, I will be at Illinois State, and I will be at Valparaiso. I think I have 4 games in about 6 days.
That's awesome.
From February 19th to the 24th, somewhere in there, I've got a whole bunch of games, so I can't wait for that. I love the league. I'm a Big Ten guy. I grew up in St. Louis, went to Indiana University, but there's a lot of similarities between the Valley and the Big Ten. These are basketball-focused schools with great fan bases, great coaches, and really good players. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see how this thing turns out, and I love calling the games.
Real quick before we let you go, Tom, got to ask you about the XFL and the St. Louis Battlehawks. Hey, they won their debut game on the road down at Dallas, 15-9. Got to be excited about the Battlehawks in St. Louis.
That's what we do, man. We just win here in St. Louis. What are you going to do? We just win. They are fun. They're fun. And, Randy, it's like a grassroots campaign. You don't really see Battlehawks billboards all over town. They did this through social media. They got people revved up. The XFL has big-time resources. The games are on national TV. And what people are going to see on February 23rd when the Battlehawks play their 3rd game, but their first home game, it'll be their home opener at the Dome, they're going to see a raucous crowd. It'll be very loud. As of earlier this week, they were already over 20,000 tickets sold, and after that win against Dallas, I'd be very curious what happens on the 23rd. That's a lot of time to sell tickets.
Oh, yeah.
Between now and then, and that lower bowl holds only 27 or 28,000.
Right.
I mean, so they could end up opening maybe the top of the place and sell even more. That place is going to be loud, and I think the national story will be, well, look at St. Louis. They lost an NFL team, and look at them. I mean, they are fired up. It's a good football town. The place is excited, and I think it's fun. I really do. And you know what? If the novelty wears off, then they'll have to deal with how they get it back again. But for right now, who cares? Just have fun with it, have a good time, and see where it all goes.
Yeah, and it's a great soccer town, too, and a soccer stadium is about to be built, and how exciting is that?
Very, very. So you'll have an MLS team in 2022, and once that stadium, which they've already not officially broken ground, but they've already started digging up some stuff around there. It's located just west of Union Station. You will have, starting in 2022, 6 sports venues within the 10-minute drive of each other.
Amazing.
You'll be able to go from Chaffetz Arena, where SLU basketball plays, to the MLS Stadium, to Enterprise Center, where the Blues play, Busch Stadium, the Dome, Worldwide Technology Raceway on the other side of the river. 10 minutes from each other, 6 big sports venues. It's huge.
That's incredible.
The MLS Stadium should be technologically advanced, holding just over 20,000. It's going to be big for the west side of downtown. I'm very, very excited. Huge muscle behind it with the Taylor family. And MLS is a young, exciting fan base. St. Louis has a great soccer tradition. I love seeing those come together. One thing you won't have to teach St. Louis fans is what soccer's all about. Soccer's a huge sport in this city. It's been a long time coming. That's going to be fun also. We're kind of in a little renaissance here, maybe.
I'm telling you, it's fun. It's great. It really is awesome. Tom, we appreciate your time as always today on the Sports Couch. Thanks so much for joining us, and I assume you'll be doing a lot of pregame and postgame on Cardinal baseball this year. Is that right?
I will. I appreciate it. It's my pleasure to come on. I will be. So the way we set it up is we'll have the same as last year. Mike Shannon's going to call the home games with John Rooney. John will call the road games with Rick Horton. Mike Claiborne will be your pregame interviewer and star of the game host after the game. And then hosting the pregame show for night games will be Chris Raby. For the weekends will be Joe Pott. who people may know also is the voice of SIUE basketball and baseball. And then I will handle the day games.
Great.
So I will once again be involved, and it's going to be, I love our team. We got a great group. Cardinals Radio Network is still the largest in Major League Baseball, and thanks very much to all the stations listening here that are a big part of what we do. We just can't do it without you, so we really appreciate it.
Well, we're happy to have 7 stations involved with Withers Broadcasting and Dana Communications as part of the Cardinal Radio Network, and we, again, appreciate your time today, Tom, okay?
That really is huge.
Yeah,
it really is. And we got to hold off all these Cubs fans around.
Yeah, that we do, don't we? Go Cardinals. That's right. Tom, have yourself a great weekend. Again, thanks for your time, and stay safe out there, okay?
Anytime, buddy. Thank you so much.
You bet. Bye-bye. That is KMOX Sports Director Tom Ackerman joining us on the Sports Couch this morning. And again, Cardinal baseball can be heard on 7 different stations here on the Withers Broadcasting Dana Communications network of stations, including WMIX 94.1 FM and US 97.7 FM down in the Marion-Carbondale market. Those callers are WHET. Also WEBQ FM 102.3 in Harrisburg. Down in Cape Girardeau at KYRX, that's 97.3 FM. In Sikeston, Missouri at KBXB FM, that's 97.9 in Sikeston. And 2 radio stations in the Paducah market, WREZ FM at 105.5 and WGKY FM at 95.9. That's 7 stations in the Cardinal Radio Network here with Withers Communications and Dana Communications, Withers Broadcasting, Dana Communications. So we've got you covered for Cardinal baseball all season long, and going to be a really exciting season this year, and still some question marks, but I don't know. I think that we're going to see the emergence of somebody really special this year, and who knows? Cardinals still might make a deal, as Tom indicated, and, of course, he keeps his ear to the ground pretty close as he meets pretty regularly with John Mozeliak. So it's good to check in with Tom Ackerman this morning here on the Sports Couch. Stay tuned. When we come back, we're going to talk to somebody else in the St. Louis market. Yeah, we're going to talk some high school basketball with Kent Williams, the Hall of Famer from the Mount Vernon Rams and the SIU Salukis. He's the head basketball coach over at DeSmet, and his Spartans team is having a heck of a season so far. We'll talk to Kent about that coming up next on the Sports Couch right here on Super Hits, AM 1210 and 98.7 FM, WILY, and on AreaSports.net.
When there's no time to be sick, let SSM Health help you feel better faster. For just $25, you can consult an SSM Health provider online about most minor illnesses. Just answer a few questions, receive your treatment plan, and a prescription if needed. It's that easy. Virtual visits are available to everyone. No insurance is required. Start the healing from home at ssmhealth.com/virtual visit.
Mortgage rates have dropped. Hi, this is Megan Pankey, mortgage originator with People's National Bank. With the wide variety of loan products we have to offer, and with mortgage rates this low, now's the perfect time to buy a home or refinance your current home. Stop by and see me, Megan Pankey, to take advantage of these low rates before it is too late. People's National Bank, serving Southern Illinois since 1909, member FDIC, equal housing lender, loans subject to credit approval.
According to FoxBusiness.com, automobile insurance providers estimate that on average, a person will experience 3 to 4 auto collisions in a lifetime. So the big question is, how do you know where to bring your vehicle after you've been in an accident? This is Chase Landers from Landers Towing and Collision Centers in Mount Vernon and Salem. It's easy for me to say that Landers is where you should always consider anytime you've suffered damage to your vehicle. And here's why. Not only do we offer limited lifetime warranty on all repairs and refinishes, but we also complete the repairs using the highest quality refinish products the market has to offer. Landers is also a direct repair facility for most insurance carriers, and in many cases provide a courtesy vehicle or easier access to a rental. We understand what it's like to be in a bind. If unfortunate circumstances fall upon you, we offer prompt RV collision repair services, towing, and heavy-duty towing and collision as well. That's why we feel comfortable saying we're the best. So come see the professionals in Mount Vernon and Salem, or feel free to look us up at landersauto.com. Big or small, Landers fixes them all. Call 1-888-LANDERS. That's 1-888-LANDERS.
Welcome back to the Sports Couch here on Super Hits AM 1210 and 98.7 FM, WILY, and of course also streaming here live on AreaSports.net. I'm Randy Olson in studio, and those of you, of course, that follow high school basketball, particularly if you watch channels 2, 4, or 5 in St. Louis, you see a lot of coverage of St. Louis metro area basketball. And, of course, one of the teams that you see a lot of coverage of here this year especially is St. Louis DeSmet, the DeSmet Spartans. And, of course, they are coached by Kent Williams, the Hall of Famer from Mount Vernon High School and also from SIU. They're having a great year so far. They're 17-5 overall and 4-1 in their league. And Kent Williams joins us on the Sports Couch right now. Good morning, Kent. How are you?
Good morning, Randy. I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Great to have you on the show. And, how about those Spartans? Your DeSmet team is doing very well, 17-5. And I know you got recent big wins here over Chaminade, that 54-52 win. You got a win against CBC and Vianney and Hazelwood Central. So having a good year so far.
Yeah, we are, and we kind of expected to have a good year this year. I mean, we've got a lot of guys that have played 3 years of varsity basketball, and we still only have one senior on our whole roster. So,
wow.
But we really went into this summer to really challenge ourselves and to prep us for the season. Last year we had a great season. We were 23-6, had a record-setting turnaround for our school, but I felt like the schedule wasn't enough to challenge us to get us ready for postseason play. And so we went through the whole summer and tried to find as many good games as we could. We upped our schedule this year, went to some better tournaments, and really tried to challenge ourselves. And I think now it's really starting to show. If you play good competition, it's starting to show with the with the product that we're putting on the court every night.
Oh, I agree. And one of your 5 losses this year, of course, was to Collinsville. But, hey, everybody's losing to Collinsville this year just about. But that's a quality competition. Those are the kind of teams you want to play, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that was a really tough matchup for us. We had just beaten CBC the night before. So, think of it as Mount Vernon fans. We just played Centralia.
Right.
And but that was our first time beating CBC in 10 years or 8 years or whatever it's been. I really don't care to keep track of how long it's been, but first time we beat them, and then we had to turn around and play Collinsville at 1 o'clock the next day. So it was a quick turnaround, no excuses, but I would love to have had a chance to play them on a regular rest in the schedule. But you know what? That's a game that's going to challenge us in January. That's going to help prep us for March.
Yeah. Well, of course, you played in Shagnon Gymnasium, but your gym over there that you play in is known as the Palace on Ballas. I love that.
Yeah. It's, especially on Friday nights, it can be a tough place to come play. Unfortunately, we're not getting it there on the weekdays, but that's part of being in a city. It's St. Louis and different things, and we're a private school, so kids that they live some of them live 20-25 minutes away, so once they leave it's hard to get them back.
Sure.
But Friday nights they know where to be, and we pack this place up, and so far we're undefeated at home, and that's our goal, is to make sure we stay undefeated for the whole season.
Yeah. Of course, everybody knows about the Mount Vernon Centralia rivalry over here in Illinois, but over there in the metro St. Louis area, it's DeSmet and Chaminade is a big rivalry, isn't it? And you got a huge win over them earlier, 54-52, and you got another game coming up with them here later on.
We got CBC coming up later on.
Okay.
But Chaminade and CBC are both big rivals. Going into this year, everybody kind of said that we're the three-headed monster of our conference, and it's kind of proven that. So we beat CBC by 16 at our place. We split with Chaminade, and then CBC has actually swept Chaminade. So it's kind of been we're all beating up on each other. But we've got one more battle against CBC to basically see who wins the league. And it'll be the first time that DeSmet's won the conference in, I believe, 8 or 9 years.
Wow.
So it'd be a huge goal for us to get that. But CBC is also in our district, and so we'll have to turn around and probably face them 2 weeks later, right after we play them on our last game of the season.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that, because in Missouri it's a little bit different when you get in the postseason, a little bit different than what we know here in Illinois. We start with regionals, but over there you start with districts, right?
Yeah, districts and regionals are basically the same thing if you look at it. We have 5 teams in our district, and we'll either get the 1 or 2 seed, probably based on how this last game goes against CBC. Then the winner of the district moves on to sectional, so that's very similar to Illinois. And then our quarterfinals is the next round, which is basically Elite 8, and then it goes to the Final Four after that. So
So you got 6, for most teams, it's 6 rounds to win.
Mm-hmm. I was looking at your team stats, your individual stats here before I got on the call with you, Kent, and the thing that surprises me looking at your stats is that you've got 8 guys who average at least 3.5 points per game, and I think your leading scorer is only averaging around 10 points a game. So really, you really have a deep team, and you really spread it around offensively. So it's going to be tough for teams to key on one person.
Yeah, that's exactly it. When you look at doing a scouting report on us, you don't know who to stop. We've had, I think, 6 or 7 different leading scorers in our games this year.
Mm-hmm.
And as you mentioned, we don't have anybody averaging 10 points. Now, we have 3 guys averaging just under 10. So we have 3 guys at 9, 1 guy at 8.9, 1 guy at like 8.3, another guy at 7.9.
Yeah.
They're all right there together. And on any given night, one of those guys steps up and has a big game for us. It's great on that aspect that we've got so many different guys that step up. But on the flip side, it's sometimes you're trying to figure out, what plays to run and who to go to because you're wanting to see who's got the hot hand.
Right.
So sometimes it takes us a quarter or even 2 to figure out, all right, what's the best rotation to have out there for this given night. And we're really long. We have 2 big guys, 6'10" and 6'9", but we also have really long guards that are 6'5", 6'4", 6'3", with long wingspans. So we can mix and match and do so many different lineups. So really, it's about us as a staff trying to figure out for that game what's the best fit for us.
Your former high school coach Doug Creel would salivate to be able to coach somebody 6'10" or 6'9", and here you got twin towers there. Gasama, I think's the one that's 6'10". What's it like to coach a guy that size?
Well, it's great in one aspect, especially on the defensive end. We really get out and pressure the basketball. And because we know if we get beat off the dribble, we're just funneling them right to our big guys. And we know that everybody that's driving in there is thinking about those guys behind there. On the flip side, when you're trying to play 6'9" and 6'10" in a this day and age in basketball, which is very guard-oriented, it's tough to have spacing and it's tough to find the right type of offense that matches those guys because they're both really 5'10". So to try to play 2 centers at the same time it can be a little difficult. And the other aspect of it that's difficult is they're both guys that have only played basketball for 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, as talented as they are, there's still some basic things that they struggle with. And that's why you kind of see that they have some big games here and there where they'll score a lot of points. But really their consistency is on the defensive end with block shots and rebounding. And that's where their value is, and that's where their value is on the recruiting end of it, too, where colleges are coming in. They're not going to be big go-to guys, scoring-wise at the next level. So as fun as it is to coach, big guys like that, there's also some parts to it that are challenging at times.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the college recruiting situation because that's what you used to do, of course, when you were assistant coach in college. That was one of your duties. You'd go around and scout and, of course, do some recruiting and be involved in that. And now you're on the other side of that as a high school coach there in St. Louis and having college coaches come to you. So talk about that a little bit.
Well, I've got great relationships with so many college coaches out there, and they trust me and they trust what I have here. So, and I'm brutally honest with them. I'll tell them, hey, I think this guy's your level, or hey, I don't think you can play at your level, and I'm not going to waste their time, and they know that.
Mm-hmm.
So they know I've been on the other side of it where a coach is selling you on a kid. You go in and you see him, it's like, this kid can't play at our level. So, your word is all you got sometimes.
Right.
So I just make sure that I tell those guys, here's what they do, here's what I think. And with all my connections, the fall and the spring, we've got a lot of college coaches coming through. They watch our open gyms, and I tell you what, it makes it great for practice because I really don't have to do much. I can just sit there, and when you have a college coach on the sideline, that should be enough motivation for you to play at your best every day.
I would think so.
So it's been great. And on the flip side of it was just coaching my guys. For me, doing the college coaching for so many years, I know what's expected of them. I'm trying to develop their bodies, trying to develop their game, and get them ready for that level, while also trying to win here, and then also making sure that they understand the academic side of it, what all they need to get accomplished before they get to that point with applying to colleges and making sure they're NCAA eligible. and everything that goes along with the academic process.
Well, it looks like your team, DeSmet, is averaging about 57 points a game and giving up 48 points per game. There are times that you score, of course, a lot more than that, but it shows that you can play a couple different styles of basketball. You can get up and down the court and put up the big numbers, or you can play more of a controlled, deliberate type of offense, can't you?
Yeah, we've mixed it up. We like to, when we get stops, we like to get out, push it, see if we can't get something really quick in transition. We've got good guards that make good decisions, and we've got big guys that can run the floor. So try to take advantage of that. But yeah, we'll mix it up. I think our bread and butter's been our defense. We've had so many games this year that we've held the other team under 50 points. CBC and Chaminade both average, in the high 70s when they like to play like that. We held CBC to 45 points, and we've held Chaminade both times to just over 50. So two teams that get up and down. We know how to slow it down and control the tempo of the game, and really make it a grind and make their guys have to work for it. We held Caleb Love, who's averaging 27 points a game. We held him to 15.
That's what I was going to ask you, is what you held him to, because I know he's averaging over 23 points a game and leading the league.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and at that time he was averaging 25 when we first. That's been over a month ago when we played him, and he's had some 40-point games, big games. We did a good job on taking him out of his game. That's one thing that I've really gotten better at over my 3 years here, is learning how to take the best player out of the other team's offense and make other guys try to beat you. And I've obviously had good coaches I worked with in the past that do a good job of that as well. So part of that's just us getting older and mature. And we were trying to do that my first year, and I was starting 3 freshmen. So to ask 3 freshmen to read a scouting report, and they're looking at you like you're crazy, like, what are you talking about? What's a scouting report? Mm-hmm. And so now they're in, a lot of these guys are juniors for me, and now they know exactly what we're talking about when we're talking about how we're going to stop a certain player and what we're going to do to take them away.
Well, speaking of good coaches that you've had the opportunity to work with through the years, particularly your days in college coaching, Matt Painter, the coach at Purdue, recently picked up his 500th career win at Purdue, and talk about what it was like to be with Matt and what you think of that accomplishment, because that's huge, 500 wins there at Purdue.
Oh, that's an impressive accomplishment for Coach Painter. We were always really close when he was the assistant coach when I played at SIU, and then getting to work with him for 3 years on staff, and just seeing him take a program from scratch, basically. We got to Purdue, we didn't have much to work with, and we got dead last that first year, and to watch things transition is kind of what I've actually been able to do here a little bit. First year I didn't have much. We start off slow, and I took a lot of what I learned from him and applied it to what I'm doing every day here. Just as far as building a culture, sticking with your game plan. Don't break it away from it, even though it's not working on day one. But he's a very impressive coach, and he's a great coach about making adjustments. He's not stubborn where he says, this is the only way I'm going to do it. As his players change, he changes his style. And we actually went up there this summer and played in a team camp up there. So
cool.
One, for him to take a look at our guys, and us to play some different competitions from different areas of the country. But also I just want to get up there and pick his brain again. And because I know he's made some adjustments to how he's coaching, and he's had some big guys, playing 2 big guys at once. So, we did a lot of talking to talk about offenses and different things to do with Twin Towers out there together.
That's awesome.
It's always fun to pick his brain.
Yeah. Speaking of defense, your 6'10" guy, Gassama, I think he has had like 28 block shots this year. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, he actually had 90 blocks last year.
Wow.
But he missed, really, we're 17-5 right now, and he didn't play in our first 6 games of the season. Yeah, he broke his foot. This is a minor break, but he broke his foot in fall open gym when a bunch of college coaches were here, and so he was out for a little bit. So, 2 of our losses were up at the Tournament of Champions in Washington, Illinois. We played against 2 big-time guys. One's going to Arkansas and one's going to North Carolina, and he's a McDonald's All-American. And we were doing that without him. So our 6'10" guy didn't play in those games. And then another one of our losses was a championship game of our the holiday tournament we played in, and that was just his 4th game back. So he was just still trying to get back into the groove of things. So I think right now he's really starting to hit his stride. And like I said, he had 90 blocks last year, and if he's playing every day this year, he's getting just as many.
Wow. We're talking to St. Louis DeSmet High School coach Kent Williams. Of course, he's a Hall of Famer from Mount Vernon High School and from SIU, all-time leading scorer at Mount Vernon and the second all-time leading scorer at SIU. Kent, you mentioned that you have just one senior on your squad this year. Which guy is that? Which player is that?
Michael Scoff.
Okay.
Michael Scoff, and he's one of our leading scorers, and he's really one of our tough guys, best defender, great rebounder, just a guy that does a little bit of everything for us.
Yeah, okay. And so Gasama is the 6'10 guy. I don't know how you pronounce his name. Is it Keita? Is that how you pronounce it? Yaya Keita? Keita, yeah. Okay. Is he the guy that's 6'9" then?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So that's your twin towers then. And, yeah, he's averaging about 9 rebounds a game, I see. So.
Yeah, he is. And they're both totally different types of players. Gasama is long, a little more skinnier. He's got a 7'1" wingspan.
Wow.
And then Yaya Keita is a little more physical, strong. I mean, we did weight stuff in the fall. We were doing a challenge, and he put 135 on the bench press and repped it out 24 times. I mean, he's a physical specimen. He goes after rebounds, takes charges, does the dirty work. So, they're both big and strong, but they're both completely different in their style of play.
Yeah. Well, before you get into district play, which is just around the corner, you got a few big games still to come here in the next week or so, and you got another meeting with CBC. You got SLU on the horizon, and so some big games still ahead for DeSmet.
Yeah, and as much as we talk about postseason play and what we want to try to accomplish there, right now one of our main goals for the season is right in front of us, and that's to win conference. So we know we got to take care of business with the remaining games, but we know that CBC game, we're both 4-1, we're tied. We got them at our place, and we got to go back to their place. They're senior night for Caleb Love, so it'll be a big night for them. So be the best thing to do is to go in and spoil senior night for them and try to win the conference for us for the first time in quite some time.
Yeah. And as you go into postseason play there in Missouri, do they seed the teams like they do here in Illinois? Is that how it's done?
And, I don't know how they do it in Illinois anymore. I know it's changed over time, but we basically, it's not really seeded all the way out perfectly. I mean, that's why you see us and CBC. We're probably the two of the best teams in the state, and we're in the same district.
Oh, boy.
It's already planned out, pretty much earlier in the season. So you already know kind of who you might run into as it gets all the way to the state championship. But so, yeah, I mean, that district championship game, as long as we both get to that point, could be just as good as a state championship game. Yeah,
sounds like it could be. Have you had a chance to talk to Coach Doug Creel here recently? They're 19-5 and having a good season.
Yeah, I know they've gone on a really good run here of late. We text quite a bit. They've played quite a few teams over this way, and we always share film with each other. So I know they played Ladue a couple weeks ago, and I was sending him some film of those guys. So I'm always following them. My parents still go to quite a few of the Mount Vernon Rams games, so I always get updates on how they're doing. And but I know they've really been on a good run here of late. Yeah.
Well, Kent, we won't keep you any longer, but we appreciate your time this morning on the Sports Couch. Always fun to talk to you and catch up on how things are going there at DeSmet. And just real excited for you on how things are happening. 17-5 so far this year, and still a chance to win the league. And really look forward to seeing what you can do postseason, too. So congratulations on another great year there in your third year.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it, Randy.
Okay, have yourself a good weekend, all right? Take care.
All right, you too. All right. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye. That is Mount Vernon Rams Hall of Famer and SIU Saluki Hall of Famer Kent Williams, the head coach of the DeSmet Spartans, joining us today on the Sports Couch. Great time visiting with Kent. It's always nice to catch up, and it's great to see him doing so well, coaching high school basketball over there in St. Louis. And I'll tell you what, I wouldn't want to play his team in postseason, would you? As competitive as he is, he will have them ready to go. That is for sure. Hey, stay tuned. When we come back, we're going to visit with Sportswriter Bucky Dent of the Southern Illinois. And Bucky covers high school sports all over the place. And also we're going to talk some Saluki basketball with him as well. And who knows, might talk some Cardinals with him as well. Bucky's a pretty sports-minded guy. He joins us next on the Sports Couch, so stay tuned.
Here's Jeff Miller from Holes Hours.
Employee pricing for everyone. You don't have to work there. You can just come in and get it. Listen to this. New 19 Dodge Journey, third row seat, $16,995. That's brand new. Get in here.
Tax, title, license, and doc not included. Rebates and discounts have been applied. See us on Facebook or go to holzhauers.com. Save on all new Chrysler inventory during the Black Friday sales event at Holzhauer Auto and Motorsports, Route 127 North in Nashville.
Get your degree from Kaskaskia College, and your earning potential increases by $10,000 per year on average compared to those with a high school diploma. KC has plenty of high-demand career and college transfer programs, so you're sure to find one that's right for you. And dollar for dollar, KC is the most affordable education around. So why are you waiting? Call Kaskaskia College, 545-3040, and get started. Spend less, learn more, go farther. Kaskaskia College, your future starts here.
Ooh, ouch.
Car accidents happen every day. When the unexpected does happen to you, call the professionals at Cooter Auto Body. Brent and Greg Cooter are ASE, PPG, and GM certified, and they can offer free estimates. From minor dents to fender benders to major collisions, Cooter Auto Body is the one to call when the unexpected happens to you. Cooter Auto Body is always ready to get you back on the road at 403 North Locust in Centralia. Call Cooter Auto Body today at 532-1520.
Welcome back to the Sports Couch here on Super Hits AM 1210 and 98.7 FM, WILY, and of course also streaming live here on AreaSports.net. And, we love talking to other media personnel around Southern Illinois, and going to bring an interesting guy on the phone with us right now. He is sports writer for the Southern Illinoisan newspaper, and that is Bucky Dent. Good morning, Bucky. How are you today?
Hey, doing okay, Randy. Thanks for having me on your show.
Well, thanks for coming on the Sports Couch. It's good to talk to you. Man, we could talk to you about a whole host of things, there's no doubt, but one of the things I wanted to talk to you about was high school basketball, and I've seen you the last two Saturdays, covering games involving the Fairfield Mules, as you saw them play Pinckneyville at Pinckneyville, and then you saw them play Nashville at Benton. And what's your thoughts on the Fairfield Mules now that you've seen them back-to-back Saturdays?
Well, as I told you just a few minutes ago before we started taping, I think this is a top 10 team in the state. Honestly, I sent out some nominations the other day, and I told the voters around the state, vote these guys in the top 10. They passed the eye test for me. They're athletic. They defend well. They've showed they can play at a slow tempo and win against a team that specializes in the half-court game in Nashville. They went to Pinckneyville, and although they had a bad second quarter, they came back and had a decent chance to win that game despite not playing their best. So obviously this is a team that, even though they get dinged for playing in the Black Diamond, which we know isn't a great league, this is a team that has proven they can play with anybody pretty much in this end of Illinois. And as far as I'm concerned, the Mules are dangerous out in the postseason.
Yeah, I think they're going to be. And, of course, you and I both know that 2A is absolutely loaded this year with all the teams that have dropped down to 2A from 3A. And it's not going to be easy. Even to win a regional this year, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, you win a regional this year, you have earned it. I mean, just look at the schools you're going to have to deal with. You got Pinckneyville and Nashville, as we mentioned, obviously Fairfield. Massac County has dropped into 2A. I've seen Massac County several times this year. They're a load. They're going to be tough for anybody to beat. Someone's going to have to go to Murfreesboro and beat the Red Devils in a regional. I wouldn't want to try that. No. I mean, that's a team when they're on, they're going to be able to play with and beat anybody in the 2A ranks. And you look, I think the Bree schools have dropped, and we know how good Mater Dei is. I've seen them. I saw them play Marion at Pinckneyville, and they whipped up on a pretty decent Marion team that night. So Mater Dei has impressed me as well. You win a regional in 2A this year, you deserve it.
Yeah, the funny thing about Breeze Mater Dei, you watch those guys step out on the floor, Bucky, and they don't really look impressive. They don't impress you the way that they look body-wise and stuff. You think, are these guys really that good? But, boy, as soon as they throw the ball up and they start playing, man, they are scrappy and they can hit shots.
You look at them and you watch Pinckneyville. To me, you're looking at two teams. If Tom Amansky ever did a basketball video, those are the first two teams he'd pick. Because you watch those guys play, and anytime they even catch the ball, they're in triple threat position. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the type of thing you just love to watch as a basketball fan. Teams that know how to play, teams that are all hustle on the defensive end, always looking to make the extra pass. And on top of all that, they both have really good athleticism. So these are not just, your classic half-court teams that they can beat anybody 5-on-5, but struggle in a full court game. They can play it any way you want to, and they can beat your butt any way they want to.
Well, the Nashville-Pinckneyville game, round 2 is tonight in Pinckneyville. Are you going to be there for that one?
Unfortunately, I actually have the night off, and I should disclose that before I looked at the schedule, I also am a junior high volleyball official, and I took a tournament in Benton today. And I'm working that one. We'll have Braden Fogle at that game, so I'm sorry I can't make it. I'm hoping I get to see those teams play maybe a third time in a postseason matchup. We'll have to see about that. But I think when you look at this game tonight, the fact that it's in Pinckneyville, that's obviously advantage Pinckneyville. I think motivation advantage Pinckneyville after the beating they took from Nashville last month at Nashville. And the form chart right now, Nashville's winning games, but they're not nearly as smooth running a machine as they were last year. They do have weaknesses offensively, and they're a team that is prone to some scoring droughts. And I think at Pinckneyville, in that setting with the motivation factor going for the Panthers as it will, I think you're going to see Pinckneyville exact some revenge tonight.
Well, I knew you did some officiating or some refereeing or umpiring, I should say, of baseball, but I didn't realize you did volleyball. That's kind of cool. You got your hat in all kinds of stuff, don't you, Bucky?
Yeah, and here's the thing, and, I'll be honest with you. I could probably, do volleyball until about 80 or 85, to be honest with you. As long as you can climb up on a stand and as long as your judgment remains strong, why not? I mean, There's not the movement in volleyball there is in baseball or softball. And, this will be my 31st year doing baseball or softball. Now, obviously, I can't do varsity games anymore because it's a conflict of interest, with covering high school sports. But, I will say this, the wear and tear on your body after 31 years of doing baseball and softball is a whole lot more evident than the wear and tear of doing a simple volleyball match.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Speaking of baseball, hey, let's talk about the St. Louis Cardinals as the pitchers and catchers are reporting this week in Jupiter, Florida. Cardinals, they don't have Marcell Ozuna now, and that lost that bat in the lineup, and they haven't really done anything to replace him in the lineup. And, he had like 29 home runs and 89 RBIs last year. I'm kind of wondering how the Cardinals are going to replace that output, but it sounds like they want to give some of the younger guys a chance.
It sounds like to me that, to be honest about it, I'm not really sure what they had planned for their offseason. I'm not really sure what the organizational plan is right now. This is a team that acknowledged, well, we need to beef up our offense. We need to add another bat. We need to give Goldschmidt and other guys more protection. So their answer to all that was to trade Jose Martinez, who, granted, doesn't really have a defensive position, but the guy can rake. Mm-hmm. And they traded Randy Arozarena, who, by all accounts, is one of their best prospects. They did not resign Ozuna, as you pointed out, and let him go to Atlanta, and didn't seem all that willing to keep him in the first place. So where's the offense going to come from? Are they really going to count on Tyler O'Neill and Lane Thomas and a return to the 2018 form of Harrison Bader? Well, really they have to. That's their only choice right now, because you can argue they have done less than any other team in baseball to improve themselves over the offseason. Yet, and this is something I found very curious, they have the fourth best odds of winning the World Series according to Westgate in Las Vegas. I guess their pitching really is ranked that highly by a lot of people, and the way Jack Flaherty pitched over the second half of last year, he's as good as anybody in the game. But where's the offense going to come from?
Yeah.
You're going to have a return to form from Goldschmidt. You're going to have a return of some type of form from Carpenter, who was just hopelessly lost to the plate most of the last year. And Dexter Fowler has to do something fairly close to what he did last year. And he wasn't as bad last year as some people wanted him to make out that he was. But you can't really count on him to be an everyday, close to all-star level player at his age right now. So they're going to have to get 500 good at-bats from Tyler O'Neill. They're going to need Harrison Bader to go back to where he was in 18, where he was good offensively, and a Gold Glover defensively. And they probably need Lane Thomas to be pretty good this year, too. And is he ready for that?
That's a question.
They left themselves with a lot of questions to answer, and there's not a whole lot of positive answers out there right now. In my mind, there's not a lot of certainties with that outfield. They have to figure out a way to do something at some point if they're going to be the team they think they can be.
Well, and when you're trying to replace 29 home runs and 89 RBIs that disappeared with Ozuna, you're going to have to get some better numbers this year out of Paul DeJong, too.
Yeah, that's, the other people have to pick up the slack.
Right.
And I'll tell you this right now, I will not be shocked if Ozuna has a huge year in Atlanta. If you look at some of his peripheral numbers the last couple of years, he had bad luck on batted balls put into play. His batting average was, I read, somewhere between 50 and 100 points lower than it should have been, given this exit velocity and a couple other factors that they put into it. I would not be surprised if Ozuna had a monster year, especially in that ballpark where he can drink 3 beers and pee over the left field wall, and given the amount of talent you have around him there.
Mm-hmm. Of course, there's a lot of people that wanted the Cardinals front office to go after Nolan Arenado, but as the front office and ownership said, hey, we already got a payroll at $170 million, we're not going to be in that race. And clearly they've not been in that race to get Arenado. And but still, you gotta have some offense somewhere.
Yeah, and this is the other thing, too. There is a rumor that the National League may be a DH league as of next year, according to what I read and comments Jim Bowden made. And if you're going to be in a DH league, then why do you turn around and trade Jose Martinez?
Right.
I mean, again, the guy doesn't have a defensive position, but he can rake.
Oh, yes, he can.
You give him 550, 600 at-bats, you're going to have close to 90 to 100 RBIs. Why do you go ahead and trade him in that scenario?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're talking to Sportswriter Bucky Dent from the Southern Illinoisan, and since you're based there in Carbondale with the newspaper, a lot of excitement in Carbondale right now for the SIU Salukis. The Dogs have won 7 games in a row, and they're in second place in the Valley, and they've already got a win against Northern Iowa, and that buzzer beater over the weekend was something else against Missouri State, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was, to me, and I say this only from the perspective of an outsider who didn't move here until 2012, that was, to me, the greatest moment in SIU basketball since I've lived here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and to be granted, there's not a whole lot of competition for it, but I'm just saying that from the standpoint of they had one of the biggest crowds in years, 6,528, I think. You had an opponent that really had something to prove after going through a down period as they did in Missouri State over the previous 3 or 4 games before bouncing back on last Wednesday night, routing Illinois State. And they played a pretty solid game. And you had a team in SIU that's just now figured out just how good it actually really thinks it is. Mm-hmm. You win a few games in a row, you're a young team like that, you start thinking, hey, we're good. There's no one that can beat us if we play our game. And you win a game like they did with that top of length of the floor play and an incredible shot by Domask hitting basically a fadeaway 20-footer over 3 guys, and it was a well-defended shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you look at stuff like that, and you start to think, hey, maybe this is their year. Maybe this is the year they go from last place in the preseason poll to first. Why can't it be done? I mean, you've won 7 in a row. You've beaten the best teams in the league, and you still have another crack at Evansville and Missouri State. You got Bradley coming in today for what should be a pretty good game. I'm thinking a huge crowd at the Banterra Center today for that one. Why not SIU to contend in the Valley Tournament next month in St. Louis?
Yeah, it's going to be fun over there at Arch Madness for sure. You know, the Dogs were picked near the bottom of the Valley in the preseason, and boy, Coach Mullins has got them playing some good basketball, and I think he's got them believing in themselves, and that's part of the key is the psyche.
With a young team like that, sometimes it's more than part of it. I think it's if it's not the whole key, it's probably about, 75-80% of the key.
Yeah.
You know, you get a few wins in a row like they've got, and you start thinking you're going to find ways to win. And the past week where they had to struggle to go to Evansville, which is a place where they never play well, and they won that game in overtime, and then you have the buzzer shot to beat Missouri State, you know, that to me is a sign of a team that has learned how to win and trust its stuff in close games. And you jump ahead and naturally start thinking, how good can this program be in, say, 2 years and Brian Mullins gets the players he really wants in there and gets his system up and running the way he has it and gets the continuity going. I mean, there's a lot of reason for optimism in Carbondale right now, and the fact that they drew such a big crowd last Saturday night, like I said, one of the biggest crowds they've had in years, you know, this area is really starting to get behind this team again in a way I haven't seen it since I moved here.
Yeah, I agree.
I caught this program in 12 at the end of the Chris Lowry area where interest was falling through the floor. And although Barry Henson did a good job rebuilding the program back from the dumpster fire it was, people here never really got behind him or the program the way they probably did in the previous decade when they were making regular appearances in the NCAA tournament and went to a couple Sweet 16s. You kind of sense that now. People are getting really excited about the Salukis again, it's becoming a big deal again like it used to be.
Real quick, before we go, I know you cover a lot of the women's games there with the ladies, the Salukis, and they are 13-9 overall, 5-6 in the Valley. Tell us a little bit about what you see from the girls this year.
Well, what I'm seeing from them is a team that's proven it's capable of being a top 25 team anytime they go out, because they did beat number 24 Missouri State last month at the Banterra Center on a buzzer shot. I'm also seeing a team that just has enough weaknesses that probably really prevent it from being anything more than a dark horse of the conference tournament, and chief among them is they're a terrible foul shooting team. Foul shots cost them at Northern Iowa on Sunday. Could have won that game and didn't. In conference play, they're shooting, I think, 57% at the line. That's the worst in the Valley by a country mile. You know, they play good defense. They have some depth. They have a couple of girls that can score. Mackenzie Sylvie has as quick a shot as anyone I've seen. But you got to make free throws in close games, and they just don't do a good enough job of rewarding themselves at the offensive end at times. Unless they get those weaknesses straightened out, they're probably a team that maybe wins a game at the Valley tournament, maybe plays on Saturday, but I can't see them doing anything more than that.
Yeah. Bucky, Dent, we appreciate your input and your knowledge of sports and sharing that with us today on the Sports Couch. And keep up the good work there at the Southern Illinoisan, and best of luck today at your volleyball tournament, all right?
All right, Randy. Thanks for having me on there.
That's
We'll
Bucky
try to do. I hope we can do this
Sportswriter
again
for the
sometime.
Southern Illinoisan newspaper.
Okay.
Bucky does a
Appreciate
great
it.
job.
Thanks,
I
Bucky.
encourage you to
See
look
ya.
for
Bye-bye.
his articles and his pieces all throughout the week in the Southern Illinoisan. Still one of those knowledgeable sports writers that's around. They're becoming rare all the time as newspapers continue to shrink their staffs and some die off. And, of course, a lot of people in that business have also retired. But Bucky is one of the jewels out there, and you always love talking sports with Bucky. All right. Hey, stay tuned. When we come back, we're going to learn more about Isaac Bruce coming to Mount Vernon. That's right, the NFL Hall of Famer who was a Super Bowl champion with the St. Louis Rams. He'll be speaking in Mount Vernon at one of the local hotels on March 17th, and we'll find out all about it next with Bob Pankey, the state director for the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. He'll be our guest next on the Sports Couch, so stay with us.
Munkin Nissan's End of the Year special will have you adding to your Christmas list. Find your perfect mix of sporty fun with enough room for the family in the trendy Nissan Rogue. Drive off in confidence in a 2019 Rogue with $4,000 in NMAC cash plus 0% for 60 months. Get your 2019 Nissan Rogue savings at Munkin Nissan on Highway 161 in Centralia and MunkinNissan.com. Don't forget your chance to win $500 at the Munkin Half Court Shot at the Orphans Home Basketball Games.
I grew up with my dad's voice saying, "Come on, walk it off." Well, I hurt my knee last fall, and the x-ray looked okay, so I ignored the pain. But weeks later, it still hurt, and I couldn't play ball with my son, and that really hurt. My doctor recommended a visit to the Orthopedic Center of Southern Illinois for an MRI, and they found the problem and how to get well. Come on, son, let's play ball.
Orthopedic Center of Southern Illinois has the technology and specialists you can depend on. Call 242-3778 or visit orthocenter-si.com.
Experience the difference of a Spartan mower. Spartan not only looks amazing on and off the lawn, it's innovative with optional features like GT Track for precision traction, balance, and control, radial front tires, and an all-new 360 floating seat system for an incredibly comfortable ride. Take command of your yard. Take command of your time. Join the family of one of the fastest-growing mower companies in the world.
Get your Spartan mower today only at A&B Outdoor Equipment in Centralia.
Welcome back to the Sports Couch here on Super Hits AM 1210 and 98.7 FM WILY, and of course also streaming on AreaSports.net. I'm Randy Olson in studio, and we want to talk about a very special event right now that's taking place in Mount Vernon on March the 17th. You definitely want to mark your calendar for that because NFL Hall of Famer Isaac Bruce is coming to Mount Vernon to speak at an FCA event. That's his Fellowship of Christian Athletes. And joining us right now is the Illinois State Director of the FCA. Many of you know him, and he's been on the show with us before. That's Bob Pankey. Good morning, Bob. How are you?
Hey, I'm great, Randy. Thank you for having me. I appreciate that.
Well, we're glad to have you on the show, and we're real excited about what you're doing on March 17th. It just seems like the FCA continues to bring quality banquets to Southern Illinois for people to enjoy. And this is really something with Isaac Bruce coming to town, especially since he just was announced that he's now a new member of the NFL's Hall of Fame.
Yeah, absolutely. We're really excited about having him come. I'm excited about having him come anyway.
Sure.
Just because I know what he's going to share and that kind of thing. But the fact that he got into the Hall of Fame here recently just kind of is the icing on the cake, and I'm so happy for him that happened. He certainly deserves it, that's for sure.
Well, talk a little bit about Isaac Bruce. I mean, we know his career, the numbers that he put up was unbelievable as he played for the Rams and of course, was part of that big Super Bowl win. But what is he going to be talking about? What's he going to be sharing with people at the FCA banquet on March 17th?
Yeah, Isaac has been a solid Christian for a really long time, even going back to his playing days. As a matter of fact, his nickname was the Reverend back when he was with the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been a Christian for a long time, very solid, very mature in his faith, and so he's one of the most humble. I've had the opportunity to hear him speak before and meet him, and he's one of the most humble people I've ever met in my entire life. And so he will be very conversational. He'll share a lot about his personal faith journey through the years, through the decades now. He'll talk a lot about his family. He's a solid family man as well, and so I think it'll be really enjoyable for folks to hear what he has to share.
Well, here's a guy who not only won the Super Bowl with the Rams, but he was in 4 Pro Bowls, and of course he had over 15,000 receiving yards in his NFL career, and well over over 1,900 receptions or something, and played in 223 NFL games, I think. So he stood the test of time, and there were a lot of people that were saying that he needed to be in the Hall of Fame, and by golly, he got in there, and it's well deserved.
Yeah, absolutely. It took him a couple of years to get there, but like I said, I'm really pleased that he's there, and he deserves to be there for sure. And just knowing the kind of person that he is, it's great when solid people get some accolades like that. I just like that a lot.
And this is going to be held at the DoubleTree Hotel in Mount Vernon?
It will be. Yep, DoubleTree there. It's a great facility for it. And last year's event, we had right at 500 people there, and we expect that this year will probably be pretty close to that as well. So really excited about it, and just an opportunity for us to share the vision and the mission of FCA, kind of put it on display a little bit, and then also invite people to be a part of what we're doing, because it's an absolutely important and vital piece of the ministry is the volunteers and the people and donors and all those kind of things that come alongside and partner with us, and so we're excited to share it with others.
And prior to Isaac Bruce speaking that night, we're going to hear from some other coaches and probably some high school athletes around Southern Illinois too, right?
We will, yeah, absolutely. Actually, matter of fact, one of the highlights of last year's event that I heard from several folks that were there was the portion of the night where we had 4 local high school athletes in a kind of a question and answer panel type thing on the stage. Just asked them some questions, give them a chance to share a little bit about their personal faith and how they're involved with FCA and what's going on in their lives. So, like I said, a lot of feedback last year for some folks that was the highlight of the night. We're going to do that again this year with some local athletes as well, and then also have a couple of coaches that will be sharing too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, of course, I understand the nuts and bolts of FCA, but there's a lot of people out there that don't really know what the FCA is all about and don't understand this whole idea of the fact you have huddles at different high schools across the state of Illinois. So let's get into a little bit of that right now and explain exactly what FCA does at these high schools, what the huddles are, who administers those, and how people can get involved.
Yeah, absolutely. FCA has been around a long time now. As a matter of fact, last year was the 65th year as an organization. And we've got a solid FCA foundation across Illinois, and even in Southern Illinois. And so right now in Southern Illinois, not what I would refer to as Southern Illinois, would be like I-70 South, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
We've got right at 100 huddles. And so when we say a huddle, we're talking about a group of coaches and athletes that are meeting on a regular basis. Most of them are meeting on the high school campus somewhere. Not all of them. Some of them meet off campus, but most of them are meeting on campus on a regular basis, and they're just sharing their faith with one another, encouraging one another, praying for one another, and it's happening, like I said, on a regular basis. And we've just had such positive reception all across Southern Illinois of those types of things. And then, and in addition to those huddles that are going on a regular basis, ongoing all of the time, we also host lots of summer camps as well. As a matter of fact, in Southern Illinois this summer we have 12 that we'll be hosting, kind of scattered all over the place. And those camps mostly are like 3 or 4 day camps, and they bring middle school aged student athletes, and some high school student athletes together in kind of an intensive sport training, but also faith development time over the course of those camps. And so that's a growing part of the ministry here. And so it's one of those situations where there's a lot going on, and it's very active in our area. And at the same time, we feel like we've only scratched the surface in a lot of ways, that there's just a lot more opportunity that's out there. And then it just continues to grow. It's very exciting.
Right. And if somebody's listening right now and they've got a son and daughter or a grandson or granddaughter that attends one of the high schools here in Southern Illinois, and you don't know whether or not they are involved in FCA, you might encourage them to talk to their athletic director or find out who is the coach that's in charge of the FCA at their school, and encourage them to get involved and participate, find out when the meetings are, and be an active part of FCA. Wouldn't you recommend that?
Oh, absolutely. And that's probably the best way to find out, is talk to the athletic director if you're not sure who leads it in your local area. Or they can always reach out to us as well. We'd be glad to direct them to who the person might be. Some of those huddles are meeting before school or after school. Some of them meet at lunchtime, for example. It just kind of depends on the schedule of the school and the facility and what works best. And like I said, a few of them meet off campus as well. But I'll say most schools, especially high schools, but there are some junior highs as well, most high schools around our area have some kind of an FCA presence, and so we're really thankful for that.
Yeah. And, of course, you've been involved with FCA for a number of years now yourself here in Southern Illinois, but your role has expanded here recently because now you're the Illinois State Director for FCA, so you're covering the entire state of Illinois, and that's a big geography, isn't it?
Well, it really is. It's very humbling, of course, and but it gives me an opportunity to kind of see things from an aerial view a little bit and be a part of the building of the ministry across the state. And we're really blessed to have fantastic staff. And, of course, that's another part of FCA that's just growing like crazy as we continue to add staff as the opportunities continue to grow all around us. And, but anyway, just as of this past September, I accepted the role of state director in Illinois, which, again, has just given me an opportunity to connect with so many more of our staff and our coaches across the state, and so it's very exciting, very humbling.
So back to the event on March 17th with Isaac Bruce coming to the FCA banquet in Mount Vernon at the hotel there at the DoubleTree. If people are interested in attending that event, explain how they get tickets or how they come, because you're not really selling tickets per se, correct?
That's correct. It's a little bit different than maybe a typical fundraiser. We don't have tickets. It's not a ticketed event. We use table hosts who host tables and populate their tables with people, and then they're there for the evening. Of course, there's a dinner that's involved. We'll also have a silent auction, and as we've mentioned, coaches and athletes that are sharing, and of course, Isaac Bruce as well. But then at the end of the evening, everyone that's there will have an opportunity to donate, contribute to FCA if they so choose. And so the very best way to be a part of it is to reach out to me, and I've got a couple of different ways that can happen. And we'll make sure that we have seats secured for you if you're interested in coming, and how many seats that you need. So we've got a website that I'll mention now.
Okay.
It's southernillinoisfca.org, all one word, all lowercase, southernillinoisfca.org. And there on that webpage is an events tab, and this event is listed there, Mount Vernon Banquet, and it gives lots of explanation of the event and how it works, and then how they can be involved if they're interested in helping to sponsor the event. Obviously, we're extremely thankful for our sponsors for the event. It really helps get the thing off the ground, and so there's an opportunity there to do that. Or if they just want to attend and kind of check out FCA, see what it's about, there's information there on how to reach out to us, and we'll make sure that they have an opportunity to be there.
All right. So again, that's southernillinoisfca.org. That's southernillinoisfca.org. Or do you want to give a phone number out too, Bob, that people can reach you out?
I would love to.
Yep.
Absolutely. You can reach me anytime, 618-559-0616, 618-559-0616, and I call, text, either one works really well. And then also have an email address that I'll mention as well, bpankey@fca.org. That's BPANKEY @fca.org. And any or all of the above of those options of contacting me are great.
Okay. The event on March 17th featuring Isaac Bruce, is there also going to be some silent auction items that night too, as you've had in the past?
Yes, there will be. We'll have some. Of course, we'll have a couple of different sets of St. Louis Cardinal tickets that'll be on the silent auction that evening, and some items that are a little more practical and logistical, like gas cards and some things like that that'll be available. Lots and lots and lots of sports memorabilia. As a matter of fact, I'm in the process today of working on the list of those types of things that are going to be there. So don't have that all nailed down yet, but there'll be a lot of sports memorabilia there. A couple of trips, a St. Louis weekend getaway trip that'll be on the silent auction that night, and then Holiday World tickets. So some of those types of things. Black Diamond Harley Davidson has jumped in and given us a 30-minute helicopter ride.
Hey, that's awesome.
That we will be auctioning off that night, which is a little bit unique, but it could be a cool experience for someone. So, yeah, should be some really neat things there.
Okay, and the one thing I don't think we haven't mentioned the time that everything starts there on the 17th.
Sure. The doors are going to open at 5:30 p.m. that evening, and the event will actually start at 6:30. So 6:30 start time on March 17th.
Okay, and that's a Tuesday night, March 17th. And again, it's at the DoubleTree Hotel in Mount Vernon, and you'll have a chance to come out and meet and hear Isaac Bruce, NFL Hall of Famer, speak, along with some other area coaches and athletes. And there'll be some silent auction items and a great dinner that you can enjoy. And it's just going to be a wonderful evening. Looking forward to being there myself, Bob, and going to bring a few other people with me as well. And it just should be a great time, and we just want to encourage people to participate.
Great. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you, Randy.
Okay, and again, I want to remind everybody that southernillinoisfca.org is the website to go to. That's southernillinoisfca.org. Anything else you want to add?
Oh, no, I think it'll be a great evening, and just looking forward to being together with everybody.
Okay. Bob, we appreciate your time this morning on the Sports Couch.
That was
and
Bob Pankey, the State Director
for the FCA, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
Bye-bye.
And again, that's a great program, a great event that you can attend. Bring somebody with you for sure on Tuesday, March 17th at the DoubleTree Hotel, and get to see and hear and meet Isaac Bruce, NFL Hall of Famer and Super Bowl champion from the St. Louis Rams. That is going to be a great event. Hey, we're about out of time. What a show we've had today. Boy, appreciate the 4 guests that we've had. Hope that you've enjoyed it as well, as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. Again, special thanks to Tom Ackerman from KMOX Radio in St. Louis, Kent Williams, the head coach of DeSmet High School Spartans in St. Louis. Also thanks to Bucky Dent from the Southern Illinoisan, and thanks to Bob Pankey from the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Be sure and visit our websites at AreaSports.net and at Section618.com to be able to keep up with what's going on as far as boys and girls high school action, not only the scores but also the schedules, and see what's happening in the area as far as these regionals and sectionals now. As you know, you got the seeds out there, and of course the girls are moving into the second round, so there's a lot happening. You can also visit WMIXsports.com also for scores and other information and interviews and things like that. So we've got you covered multiple ways here at Withers Communications, Withers Broadcasting, and Dana Communications. Now that's it for me. I'm going to get out of here and make room for some more great programming here on WILY Radio. We'll be back to do it all again next Saturday morning at 8:30. It's 90 minutes of great local sports talk. It is the Sports Couch on Super Hits, AM 1210 and 98.7 FM, and on AreaSports.net. Have a great weekend, everybody.